What is up, you guys? Glitchiz here, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm bringing you the tutorial on how to build the PvP base. A lot of you wanted to see that. That was the game plan, was to release this once I got the updated version of the tour video out. This will be a little bit longer of a video. It takes a little bit longer to build than the PvE base. So what I'll probably do is turn this into a bit of a time lapse. And anytime I get to a point where there's a specific thing I need to explain, I'll obviously slow the footage down so you can hear my audio. But other than that, if it's a repeat process where I'm just like, oh, build this wall up to the 3rd floor type of thing, I'll just speed it up and you can just repeat it and duplicate the process over and over again, just so this video isn't an hour and a half long. Yeah, that's probably how I'll go about it. But without any further ado, let's jump right into it. A few things before I get into building is I will say, do not build this copy of the base inside of Eternal Land. You can't carry the Eternal Land blueprints over to the real game, so still follow along with this guide, but build it in the actual server, not the Eternal Land server. That way you don't have to worry about building it twice and having to start from scratch again. So that's the first point I want to make. The second point is when I did my testing for this base in the actual game with the full 700 point cap, one thing I noticed is that when I put all my doorways in and built the entire rest of the base, I only had like 3 points remaining, and it didn't dawn on me until I finished all that if I'm doing the doorway technique, I need extra structure points for all the doors, and there was a ton of doors. So ideally what you can do is replace all of those doorways with solid walls. Then you won't have to worry about doorways. On the other side is I've had several people reach out and say that both teleporters and the wall glitching effect, where if you own a territory, you can go into build mode and then teleport through a wall, that might not be available on the PvP servers when you're under attack. So if that's the case, then the best thing that I can recommend to kind of free up some basically extra territory points is to remove some of the ceiling tiles that are in between each layer from the outer honeycomb wall perimeters. Most enemies aren't going to be blowing in through the ceiling on those outer walls because they know they're just trying to get to the core. So the ceiling tiles aren't as important in that area. So that's an area where we could technically free up some space to allow us to put doorways in. So that's probably what I'll end up doing. But yeah, without any further ado, let's jump right into it. So to save a little bit of time, I started out with the typical 1 width hexagon in the center with our basically 6 core support beams with a 1 layer foundation around the outside. This is going to be like the starting point for almost all of my hexagon bases. But from here, the first and most important building tip that I figured out, which is very handy for any PvP base that you're trying to build, is the double wall technique, which allows you to seamlessly line up multiple walls right next to each other with perfect spacing and perfect alignment throughout the entire base, but allow you to put the walls back to back almost. So that is how this works right here. So what you're going to do is, even though we're building with triangle foundations, to do this technique, you're going to need to select the square foundation and throw 1 down, then immediately switch to triangle foundation again, put it at the end, rotate, step on the end of the triangle, delete the square foundation, and then immediately put down another triangle back to back. So you create this diamond. And now if you look, it's going to be perfectly in line with the edge of your actual base, but we have a tiny little gap now. So from here, you can put your other triangles and go ahead and extend this out. We can put 1 here. And then delete this outer triangle. So that is how we get the little gap with the back-to-back perfectly aligned walls. And you're just going to do that same technique around the entire outside of the base. So let's go ahead and speed up the footage and do that now. And I'll meet you guys once we get the outer ring done. All right, so now we have the outer perimeter done, and these are going to act as our honeycomb walls. If we go into the bird's eye view here, These are going to act as literally just extra dummy walls that go around the entire outside of the base and honeycomb all the way to the top floor. So it's just extra walls that the enemy's going to have to blast through. The only one of these outside layers that are going to be slightly different is the bottom floor of the side that you want your front door to be. So let's go ahead and set that one up now, and then we can start building out the other ones. So what you want to do is pick where you want your front door to be. It's going to have to be, for the way this base is built, on the left side of the front-facing wall that you want. So we can keep our bearings by throwing a door frame down here. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then we're going to want another door right here. And then a double door right here. And that will be the only main 3 doors we use to get from the very outside of the base to the first inner platform. We can also throw up our walls for the inner core, with the exception of the opposite back wall, because that's where we're going to run in to get to our first set of stairs to get to the second floor. So we can go and throw those in now, as well as throw in our doors. That way we don't forget. And there's a specific reason why I'm putting the double door there, which I'll get to in a minute. But then from here, all the rest is going to be just solid wall honeycombing. So there's one. And then all of these for 3 floors is just going to be identical honeycombing all the way around. And then in between each one of these, you're going to want to put a ceiling tile. Now, if you're using solid walls, you can put the ceiling tiles. If you're not using solid walls, if the teleportation glitch, if someone can confirm that, if that doesn't work, then this is where I would save the points. I would skip putting some ceiling tiles on these and literally just do walls. If you're doing solid walls throughout, then you'll have enough points and you can put ceiling tiles on all of these as well. But for now, just so you know, because I have a feeling that that might be the case, where you can't go into build mode when your base is under attack. So just to be safe, I'll do it this way. That way, if you're following along, you won't have to fix anything after the fact. Because that's a lot of ceiling tiles that we're going to be saving structure points on if we do that. Give us plenty enough for all of the doors that we would have to add. There's another one. All right. Let's go through, get these last couple little divider walls in. So there we go. We've got all of our outside perimeter walls done. So these are literally just for added protection. Now, once you have those built, we can start with the core build of the base itself. And now, like I said, just in case the teleportation glitch doesn't work on PvP servers, I'll build the base how I did originally with doorways. That way you guys won't have to fix anything if that's the case. But the first thing we can do before we start building the walls is throw in our stairwell. So let's go ahead and do that. The only one that's going to work for this is the wooden corner stairs. And you want them to snap right up to the outside wall opposite of the front door. And then we can fill that in with triangles, with the exception of the one triangle that's going to be above the stairwell to just make it a little bit of a head glitch. And from here, we can do our outer walls for the interior of the base. And this is why I use the double door, because if you look here, we can also put our 2 foundations out here for the start of the fan blades. So we do that. This is the start of the platforms that are going to wrap around at the end for our turrets. If we go in here, if you use a single door right here, the doorway ends up in the dead center, which means that this secondary wall blocks off the doorway and you can't actually walk through it. It's going to be too small of a gap. But if you use a double door for this first main door, you can put a full extra wall here for added protection and still have enough gap to be able to walk through it. Even though the door cuts through the geometry, you can still run through it. So any extra wall that we can get in and squeeze in for added defense to the explosions, the better. So that's why we do that. But then we can go through here and add the normal walls to the outer perimeter as well. So let's go ahead and do that. And then these would all be doorways. These are just going to be solid walls. And then this one first room is the only area where we're not going to have a second solid wall, just because we have to be able to walk through it. One thing I like to do is throw down a little ceiling tile here, one of these small ceiling tiles, just so you don't fall through that gap, just in case. So there's that. So now we have our doors going all the way around. You could do the trick that I mentioned previously, where you make these doors as well, all the way up to this one. Just to act as like a dead end, like trick to the maze. So you can have all of these doors and have them think that they can go left, but then it ends up being a dead end. So they have to turn around and waste time and come back the other way. So that leads to the first area with our stairs. And you would ideally have another flame trap here. A shotgun turret can go here to just be hitting them if they're trying to get up the stairwell. And then once that's done, we're pretty much done with the first floor. So we can go ahead and start throwing on our ceiling tiles. And now, in my opinion, the second floor is the most tricky floor with the stairwell. That's going to be the hardest part, in my opinion. And what I typically do is I start from the inside, because I know there's going to be a door here, and I work my way out. So throw down the double door, just so I have my bearings as I'm building. And then the first thing that I like to do to basically keep it even is I put a wall right in the center. I know that this can all be honeycombed, because we want them, again, to snake around the outside. These will be doorways. These will be solid. And then if they come up the stairs, I usually have a fire trap in this first room to do AoE damage as well. And then from here, we do more doorways. And this wraps around the outer perimeter, leading to the first stairwell over here. I usually leave these two walls open so I can have room for a turret. And then tucked over here is where the stairwell is going to be. So what we can do is throw down our outer walls at the least for this level. Let's go ahead and do that now. There we go. Now we can start seeing they come out the door. And then they got to maze their way around through these doors all the way around to the back side with a turret waiting for them. And then to build the stairwell, you're going to want to have a straight wall. Think of it like you're cutting the inner hexagon in half, basically. Because this is the hardest part of this build, is getting this one stairwell to fit. From the inner square, you want to have one horizontal wall cutting straight across and leave a half one-size hexagon of available space for your stairwell. And the only stairwell that will work is going to be the reinforced steel and wood half-pace stairs. And sometimes this doesn't like to snap properly because it's looking for something for the top to snap to. So what you may have to do is put a ceiling tile down where the first level would be, because that's where the second floor, or the third floor rather, is going to start. And then that should help with the placement of the stairs. Because at this point it'll know where to snap to. It's also sometimes easier in first person when you're in character mode. You can also delete this wall too, temporarily, to get the stairs in. There we go. So now we've got our stairs that wraps up and then connects to the first level of the third floor. And then we can go in and fill in all of the walls that we just deleted. And don't worry, it is going to cut into the geometry of the stairwell, but that's fine. We want it to be as annoying as possible. So we can go ahead and leave that as is. So that is the layout of the second floor. We've got the first little entrance where the stairwell is. That will snake around through all the doors, force them to come around the outside. Then they have the head glitch stairs leading up to the third floor. And then the one thing that I forgot to add is I like to add a little tiny small ceiling tile right here. And that prevents people from being able to jump over the railing and mantle over the railing. They will be forced to crouch and slow walk around the entire outside and up the stairs properly. So that's how that works. So then from here, you can just start going in and laying down your ceiling tiles as normal. Leave a ceiling tile open right here because if you have one right in this spot, you won't be able to walk up the stairs at all. So this is the one spot you can leave closed, but the rest you can all fill in as normal. Now we're going to start on the final floor before we get to the roof. So now we've got the stairs leading up to the third floor. You can start by working on the core room, which is going to be the outer one width honeycomb around the outside, just so we can get our bearings. And then we want this door to be the opposite side. So it would be this wall. We can swap that with a double door entrance. Throw a door down here. And this is the room where our securement containers that we're extracting would be, where our territory terminal will be, and where all of our generators would be. So this is the end-all, be-all one room that we really want to protect. So then from here, everything to the left of the door is going to be solid walls, so we can go ahead and throw those down. Again, with honeycombing around the outside. So let's get these in first. Want to make sure you're getting those double wall widths around the entire perimeter of the base, so we get the extra defense. And then we want to honeycomb all of these. all the way up to the beginning of the stairs. So we have that, and then these would be doorways. All the way as far as you can go to the stairs. So they're going to have to blast through all of these doors and work their way all the way around to get to this final room. And then in here, this is where our facilities would be. I like to throw down a level 3 flame trap right in the middle. So more AoE if they do get in there. As well as our generators. I've been able to fit 7 of these in here without any issues, as well as the securement containers. You can add as many as you want. I don't really see why you would need any more than 4 at any given point if your base is exclusively the extraction base. That's the other thing I want to mention. This is a really good base, but it's primarily made for like a solo player, or a solo extraction base. Obviously, if you're grouping up with a bunch of hive members, combining multiple territories to create a gigantic fortress would obviously be better than doing it by itself. But if you have one character and one max territory footprint to build off of, this is the best that I've been able to come up with, and it works great. So this is the end-all be-all room that we don't want people to get to. So we want to protect this from all angles. So obviously, as you can see, we've got a ton of walls horizontally that enemies are going to have to break through, as well as 2 floors underneath that they're going to have to break through to get from the bottom. So now we want to start working on the defenses from the top. So what we do here is we start laying down our ceiling tiles, and we work on adding layers to the roof as well as build our scouting tower. So now we have the final first ceiling fully surrounded around the core room. And now we want to start building up the roof. And how I do that is, instead of using a full wall, I use a half wall. That way we can get 2 layers thick for the price of 1. So let's go ahead and throw that down now. So there's that, as well as honeycombing in between this entire layer, just to make it as annoying as possible and add more structures that the enemy's going to have to blast through, if they come from above. All right, so we got that layer of honeycomb. Now we go and do a ceiling layer. And then once you get that fully filled in, we're going to do the exact same thing one more time. So that will make 3 full layers of ceiling that the enemy's going to have to blast through if they happen to come in through the top. So once this layer's done, the core room is going to be equally deep from the top as it is from the bottom, and it's going to be kind of sitting right in the dead center of the base at this point, which is perfect. And then again, honeycomb all this as well. And we'll check, make sure it's all good. It does. And then go and throw on your ceiling tiles to finish it off. There's the final top layer of the roof. Next, we can add our doubled up layer of the stairwells and our walls. And these can be full walls. Should be the exact same height. Okay, so now we've got doubled walls around that whole layer. And then what I like to do is I throw in a small triangle piece in between all of these and all of these. That way we can walk around the entire base and do that on every side. And the ones on the inside are going to be for a specific reason that I'll show here in a second. And I'm out of astral sand. Awesome. So bye-bye old base. There we go. I think we're good all the way around now. And then what I do is, because this is the area that we're going to be running on to guard the tower, we want to have an ability to get back onto the very top of the roof if possible. So that's where these tiny stairs come in really handy, the short reinforced narrow steps, because they actually snap to those one small width triangles and kitty corner perfectly in between each of those walls. And it's just enough height to allow us to walk up and mantle onto the roof. So this is just going to be the easy access to walk up these and get onto the roof if need be. And then ideally what you would have is your teleporter, a flat one is what I usually do for the top. And then if we go to the very bottom, I can either put it vertical one here. You could even put it potentially right here, so you don't have to walk all the way around. If, for whatever reason, the wall glitching effect doesn't work in PvP, I would just put the portal right here. That way you can manually run through the first 3 doors and just have your teleporter right there, and that'll instantly warp you straight to the top. So that is the 2 places that I would put the portals. I also like to put turrets on the roof as well for defense. So you could do level 3 shotgun turrets up here. For some reason that's not wanting to do anything. Let's try it again. No idea why that doesn't want to work, but I usually put 2 turrets up at the top. So that is pretty much it for the roof. But now we got to do the little outcroppings for our scouting tower. And for that, I use the roofing pieces with windows. So let's go ahead and grab those. And I just put them perfectly aligned, 2 on each of the outer walls. Nope. That's going to go... Come on. So now it's starting to take shape, and then I also do a corner piece, the inverted corner piece, to give some added support to these inside edges as well. And it should, if you did it right, be able to do a perfect crisscross in the dead center if you attach it to each of these edges. Do that in each of the corners. Sometimes the snapping can be a little funky. Come on. And there we go. So that's the final roofing pieces. If you want, actually no, we don't have to because we already put these small triangles down. So now if you're running around, you can run up on top of these, aim straight down at enemies that are coming from below your base. You have these little kitty corners here where you can shoot down. You can run all the way up to the top of these if you want. And it just acts as a perfect little guard tower for the top of the base to defend from, with instant access to it from the teleporter on the first floor. So that is pretty much the entire base, with the exception of where our turrets are going to go. And this I will kind of leave up to you guys. You can do it however you want. The way I did it was I started with square foundations, because I found out even though a turret fits on the triangle foundation in Eternal Land, it won't fit on a triangle foundation in the real game for whatever reason, so you have to use squares. So I tuck these in perfectly, basically 2 deep, and then 2 deep, 1 in the corner, 2 deep, 2 deep, 1 in the corner, one on the flat, 1 in the corner, 1 on the flat, 1 on the corner again. And then you basically just connect these. So to connect them, you're basically just going to use triangles. And it should snap perfectly together. Leave a gap, move on to the next one. Out of parts again. Bye-bye. Almost done. And there you have it. So there's our fan blades. You can have 2 to 3 turrets on each one going around the outside. And it also doubles as a just added foundation around the core foundations to protect the core build of your base as well. And then the last little feature is obviously the stairwell. And there's only one stairwell that's going to work. And it's going to be, I believe, this one. And it's going to go right there. So if you're coming in from the outside, you're going to have to go under the stairs, jump up, mantle, and walk your way to the top platform. Ideally, your foundations will be high enough when you build the first layer to where you can't just regularly jump up them. You want to have it to where it makes it a little bit more annoying. At least high enough to where they have to mantle. You don't want it to be flat with the ground. So try to raise this initial level as high as you can go. But yeah, that is pretty much the full build. Let's do a quick little bird's eye view tour again. Got the base fan blades for our turrets and added protection for the core foundations. the honeycombing walls around the entire outside, which you saw are filled in with just crisscrossing walls all the way throughout, and they go all the way up to the 3rd floor where the core level is located. And then starting from the roof of the 3rd floor, we've got 1, 2, 3 roofs thick of ceiling that the enemy has to go through as well, and a scouting tower now with easy access to the roof via these little stairwells with little sniper windows where you can head glitch out of those and duck in and out of cover. So really, really handy build, and in my opinion, it's going to be very difficult to outbuild this build with as small of a footprint as we have. Personally, I think just building in squares and just having multiple walls thick isn't as efficient and isn't as effective, in my opinion. This has a little bit of the best of every type of build all into one. So really good if you're a solo player, or if you just want this as the core inner tower of like your fortress stronghold. If you have like maybe 3 or 4 hive members territories around you, you could put this tower in the middle with turrets all around in every direction, and then maybe have another tower with a barricade wall going around the entire base, using up the perimeter of all your hive members territories. So there's a lot of cool things you could do if you get some extra players in here together to kind of snap and combine your territories. But yeah, that is the final build. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, if it helped you out, be sure to smash that like button, comment down below. Appreciate all of your guys' feedback. Also, if you want to keep up to date with my future content, consider subscribing and turn on that notification bell. Our PvP server for us is actually starting tonight, so I'm going to be able to jump into that and get you guys some PvP content here soon, so look forward to that. But last but not least, if you want to join a killer community of like-minded gamers, feel free to check the links down in the description and join us on the Discord. We've got over 1,000 members in there now, many of which are playing Once Human, so hopefully you jump in and we see you guys around here soon. But until the next one, hope everyone has a great day, and we'll see you all later.